From the top of the Tower Studios, 76 floors above Lake Washington, this is Seafair Stories. Real conversations, local legends, and behind the scenes moments from Seattle's favorite summer tradition. Because Seafair isn't just a festival, it's a way of life. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Emily Cantrell, President and CEO of Seafair Charitable Foundation. With us today is Melissa Dawn Burns, a 4-time U.S. Unlimited aerobatic team member, air show display pilot, and skydiver, retired base jumper. Melissa, welcome to Seafair Stories.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
That's a lot of things that I just listed off.
Apparently, I don't like to sit still for very long.
I can tell. Well, Melissa, you have pushed the limits of what the human body can or should do in the sky, from aerobatic flying to base jumping. What first drew you to aviation and extreme sports?
Aviation was my grandparents. My grandmother was a pilot. She did some basic aerobatics and the old powder puff air racing. Going to grandma's house was going to the airport. Her garage was a hangar with airplanes sitting in it. So that's what really intrigued me and got that early introduction to aviation. On the extreme sports side, my dad would take us dredging for gold in the summertime, scuba diving, rock climbing, and I feel like when I got into flying, the natural progression of all the things I loved, being in the mountains, climbing, flying, sort of took me down that track of skydiving and base jumping.
What an incredible childhood. You had the coolest grandparents around.
They're amazing.
So aviation, and especially aerobatics, has long been male-dominated. As one of only a handful of women performing solo aerobatics, how have you navigated that space?
Well, I will say with aerobatics, it's a hard sport to break into initially. I was very fortunate to be mentored in by some pretty incredible coaches that helped me to get past that threshold of being a competition aerobatic pilot into being a performer. But I do find, I have found that as a woman, and I say this to any women in aviation or women in those male-dominated sports, you're going to stand out. And because of that, you can't just blend in. The best advice I've ever heard for a pilot is don't stand out. So when you don't have that option, you just have to be ready to own everything. Be the best that you can be. If you make a mistake, own up to it, learn from it, teach from it. And that's kind of been my motto.
And do you feel a sense of responsibility now to other women and representing women in aviation?
I do feel a sense of responsibility. I was fortunate to have a grandmother who was a pilot. So to me, women in aviation was normal. And I realized as I progressed in my career that wasn't so normal. I went to college and realized that it was, I think, 1 to 10 among the pilots that were training. And the numbers are still about the same. But I'm a mom now. I've got 2 young kids, a daughter and a son. And I think that while I didn't intend on air shows being my career initially, that's where I had opportunities. I flew my first air show at 20 years old. Yeah, so I've been doing this over 20 years. Don't do the math. And I initially wanted to use aviation to explore the world, to give back, to get into some kind of bush flying, flying doctors, that type of thing. And I really had a heart for that type of mission. And when air shows came up, I felt sort of selfish. I thought this feels like a sort of a selfish ambition. And the more I got involved, I realized this is an opportunity to inspire. I've been given this amazing gift, and now I can use it to fly all over the world in places where maybe there's a new emerging middle class. Maybe the young girls there haven't seen women outside of traditional roles, and it's usually their dads that bring them up to me and say, hey, I want to introduce you to my daughter so that she can see a woman flying. And to me, that's one of the most important missions of air shows.
Hearing you talk is so inspiring.
Thank you.
So you became the youngest female to ever make the U.S. Unlimited aerobatic team. So that's elite company we're talking about. And you were also crowned the fastest woman in the world at the 2015 wingsuit base jumping race in Norway. Talk about thrilling and terrifying. Hearing all of this and having those accolades, how does that feel?
I worked very hard for those, and I'll say gosh, I mean, it's years apart between those accolades because I was 20 years old when I first made the I was 22 when I first made the U.S. Unlimited Aerobatic team. And not just the youngest female, I'm the youngest person in history to be on the team. So it was.
That is impressive.
Yes, and really it just spoke to the opportunities I had to be able to get involved and to have such incredible support from my family, from my coaches. I had one coach swoop me up and he said, I want to see what difference it makes to start training you professionally from the very beginning of your competition career at the Sportsman, our entry level, and see how you advance. And within 2 years, I was on the U.S. Unlimited team. So it was a really great model to show how good coaching can help to get you to that professional place. I've stood on the world podium. I've placed never first, but I've placed second and third in the various flights, third overall. I've been on several teams that have placed second and third. And the base jumping, I never got into base jumping to compete, but the competition wingsuit racing, it really opened doors to travel and to see amazing places. I mean, I got to jump all across Europe. I got to travel multiple times to China to race in the floating mountains. And winning the base race in Norway, that opportunity for me, I actually made an air show out of it. I got invited to Extreme Sports Week. I rented a local plane in Norway. I flew an air show. I did the base jumping race, which I needed to do to qualify to get to the China races, the Wingsuit World League, and then I just happened to win as well. And I had this moment standing in the back of this room of 6 foot plus tall, incredible outdoor athletes, and they called my name, and I had to squeeze my way up, stand up on stage. They handed me this ginormous check and a pair of skis that were way too big for me, but I felt so proud of that achievement at that moment.
You're making me think that I went down the wrong career path.
No. There's no wrong path. I say it's all about being motivated, taking opportunities whenever they arise. I mean, just saying yes when someone asks if you want to try something. I mean, not everything, but
right.
With good decision making. And you may not end up where I thought I'd be an astronaut or a pro soccer player when I was a kid. I never thought, I'm going to be a professional aerial demonstration pilot and run a skydive demo team, but here we are.
Here we are, and you're doing all of that while being a mother of 2.
Yes.
So when you're doing something that's inherently dangerous, how do you manage risk while still pushing those boundaries?
That is one of my favorite questions in the world, because I have been involved in these high-risk sports, known high-risk sports, since I was very young. And I plan to do them, not all of them, but I plan to do them for as long as I can. But for me, it's all about risk mitigation. It's like, how does an astronaut go to space? Yes, there's known risk. Things may not always go well. Things can happen that are out of your control. So we do everything we can, make sure that our equipment is well taken care of, our maintenance is up to date, we're healthy, I'm training, and in the moment, I'm making the right decisions to walk away safely that day. I chose to walk away from base jumping when I became a mom. I still skydive and I do the air shows, but I saw my risk profile and thought, this is too high for a mom, for my standards, and I had to pick and choose. Now with the air shows, because we're flying surface level aerobatics, you lose that decision making, that time to make a decision. You have to have made that decision ahead of time. So something as simple as walking through my routine, training the same thing over and over, and in my mind knowing if something goes wrong or something doesn't feel quite right, or maybe I have a thought, I'm going to push this a little more, do one more snap roll, immediately my response is to back it off and simplify and make the safe decision. And I think that is something that can save lives in these high-risk sports.
Very well put. So let's switch gears to Seafair now. What comes to mind when you hear the word Seafair?
I kind of just picture downtown Seattle and all the water and boats and people everywhere and people in uniform and people out there just being excited and being in the sun. I'm putting those good thoughts out there as well. And even if it's not sunny, they're going to be out there anyway and having fun and just enjoying everything that the Pacific Northwest has to offer, and we get to shine it all out in a week.
And I love how your face lights up when you talk about Seafair. I can see it in your eyes, and And when we first met at ICAST, so the International Council of Air Shows, for anyone listening who's not familiar, we met there in December. And that's where our team went in. We were picking out our air show acts. And when we first learned about you from our air show director, Frank, he told us ahead of time, there is this woman, and at the time you were also a pilot for Alaska Airlines, yep. And you're from Bellingham, and you have a stunt plane, and you're a stunt pilot. We're like, we have to get her. And so we approached you, and I saw that same reaction on your face when we asked you to fly Seafair.
Yes.
What was going through your head during that time?
When I've talked to Frank a few times over the years about Seafair, and it's always, it's always a big planning process, figuring out what shows you're going to do, what performers you'll bring in. And when I saw your team walking up that time, you had your entire team, and in my mind, I just knew. I said, this is the year. This is the year we're going to make it happen.
That actually makes me teary-eyed. Aerobatic flying, moving on. It's not just skill, it's art, it's precision. What do you hope people feel when they watch it? You're going to be right out there, right behind us. What do you want them to feel when they watch you perform?
I want them to have at least a fraction of the amount of fun that I'm having. And I can tell the difference. When I'm performing and I'm having fun, I can feel it from the audience that they're having fun. It seems like, how can that translate from someone flying up in the air in an airplane to people on the ground and on the water? But it does. And that's my goal. I want them to just be excited and have fun and feel all the good feelings that come with being stoked about whatever it is that you're watching. And if it happens to be an airplane and really fun motorsports going on, then, maybe that excitement will just spark that light in someone who didn't even know they were interested in it.
Okay, so that makes me wonder, what can you see when you're up there?
I see everything.
You do?
I swear. I see. It's so funny. I set, whenever I have over a runway, for instance, I'll set poles up with a ribbon, and I'll cut that ribbon inverted, and I see every person's face that's down there holding it, the photographers, and I always think, oh, they don't think I can see them, because sometimes they'll run out of the way or dodge, and I'm always laughing. I'm like, oh, I see you. I see the audience waving. Of course, what I don't normally see is the big picture, because I'm looking close. I'm looking at the aerobatic box and what's there. So sometimes maybe I'll be holding to circle a skydiver or waiting to perform, and I have to remind myself, look up and look around and take in that big picture too.
That is so fascinating, just to hear all that, things that I never thought of, or learning something new for sure.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to young women and anyone listening to this, if they're interested, they have this dream of flying but don't see themselves represented? What advice do you have? Earlier you had talked about just saying yes.
Yes.
But what else would you tell them?
I would say also take the opportunities to go out there and talk to someone. Ask the question, even if it's emailing someone or reaching out on social media to someone that inspires you. If you have never been to an airport, go and check out a flight school. They do introductory rides. You can go in there, talk to the instructors. We do local aerobatic competitions. You can come and hang out and volunteer at the air shows. Oftentimes, there'll be areas where you can do meet and greets. And, all those performers are just people too. And we're doing it because we love air shows and we want to see more people getting involved.
And if someone wants to check out where you're going to be, where can they find that information?
For me, you can check out my website. It's www.sportsgal.com. And I'm also on socials under Melissa Dawn Burns. So reach out, and I'm the one reading all those messages and reaching back to you.
Beautiful. So you've done a lot during your lifetime. You have plenty left. What's next for you?
Ooh, I just got back, actually, this morning from adding a new act onto my waiver. We have to have special waivers to perform air shows, and the act I added on is a nighttime pyrotechnic routine. So I have these wild wing mounts that we're strapping on and putting tons of fireworks, and I'm going to start doing nighttime aerobatics with the fireworks show. But I'm never satisfied to just have an airplane. So I'm also working with a team of some of my closest female skydiving friends, and we will be mixing in the elements of our flag, wingsuits, canopy work, and we're going to tie it all together. And that's as much as I'll say, because I have to save some of it for a surprise.
Oh, my goodness. Can't wait to see that. Maybe we'll have you out at Seafair next year with all that.
I would love it.
That sounds amazing. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us on Seafair Stories. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you for having me, Emily. This is great.
You've been listening to Seafair Stories, coming to you from the Top of the Tower studios, overlooking the waters and parks where the magic happens. Stay tuned for more episodes all year long as we introduce you to the people, the passions, and the pulse behind Seattle's most iconic summer celebration. Thanks to our producer and editor, Evan Slaybaugh. We'll see you next time.